I have trouble remembering people's ages. That doesn't mean I didn't love my little brother. I forget how old I am sometimes. I can't tell you how old my grandmother was when she passed without doing math. I can't tell you how old my father was. I can't tell you how old my mother was. I simply, my brain doesn't process age that way. And you're going to use that as proof that I didn't love my little brother, but I absolutely did. My brain just doesn't function the same way everybody else's does. I don't remember ages and dates. I don't calculate them easily in my head the way that most people can. It doesn't mean I'm lying. And somebody said, well, those are natural causes there's natural causes for cerebral palsy. It's not caused by abuse. It can be caused by abuse. It is a form of brain damage. It can be caused by physical abuse. And in his case, it was. I'm not the only one that knows this happened. I have another aunt that is willing to admit that my father beat my mother the day my little brother was born, which takes your natural causes completely out of the equation. It's gone. There is no more natural causes if the woman is actively being abused. It is the abuse that has caused the damage. It is the abuse that caused the damage. It was mere 300-pound man sitting on a pregnant woman's stomach, beating her head into the floor. And Kathy will tell you, well, she hemorrhaged. Little Ronnie was born the way she did because my mom had a hemorrhage. And yes, she likely did hemorrhage because that happens when a 300-pound trucker sits on a pregnant woman's stomach and chokes her out. You're only looking at one part of the story and not looking at the entire story. I know a lot of people don't believe me. My own sisters might not believe me. I believed my grandmother, because by that point I had lived with my father off and on for 14 years, and I knew he was abusive. And I fully believed that he would sit on her stomach. Why wouldn't I? I've seen him throw her around the house. I'd seen him hit her. I'd seen him knock her out. I'd seen days where she couldn't get out of bed because her back was hurting so bad from what he had done. Of course I believed my grandmother when she said that he hit her the day that my little brother was born. It was a natural part of our life at that point. Why would I not believe it? And then later, when I started questioning other people in the family, other people also said the same thing that Meemaw said. My Aunt Starla, I have a message from her that Kathy says doesn't matter because that she was a child at the time and doesn't know anything, and it's not possible for her to have talked to my grandmother and gotten the story, because my grandmother would willingly tell anybody that would call and talk to her. Kathy wouldn't know that, since Kathy went nearly a decade without barely speaking to my grandmother. But if she did, she would know how much my grandmother talked about what was happening. She talked about it to everybody. It upset her, because my grandmother was raised by an abuser and married an abuser, and she tried to do right by her children, and her daughter wound up being with an abuser anyway, and it drove her mad. In the last couple of years of her life, she would sit and talk about things. Her life and mine. And she would just sit and talk on and on and on endlessly about these horrible things that are in my head now. No, she didn't lie. And my other aunt, who admits that she knows my father hit my mother that day, is also not lying. Kathy is lying. She is lying by omission. When she tells you that she didn't know my father was abusive, she's lying by omission. And I've already got her to prove that. She said before that she knew he hit her. And she claims that she thought it was only the one time. But anybody who has ever met an abusive man, anybody, would know That it's never just one time. If he hits you once, he will hit you over and over again until he kills you or himself. And everybody knew that that's what that relationship was. Everybody knew he was eventually going to kill her. What we didn't know is that he was going to kill himself first. None of you knew my father. You want to defend him and stand up for him because you hate me. But you didn't know the man. I did. I know what he was capable of. And I believe my grandmother when she tells me what happened the day my little brother was born. Because it's extremely believable to me, knowing both my mother and my father.